So we're here with another failed card game. This was a little interesting one. It, as far as I'm aware, well, I looked it up and last night before deciding on doing this, and they did run a second Kickstarter, but as far as I can tell, it was unsuccessful, and I doubt they really created anything else on their own. But this was one from the sort of heyday of 2020, 2021, where there was just somewhat unique in that it did not. Like most of them had this set formula that they released with. This one did not, and that's one of the reasons I decided to back it. Just I enjoyed the art and feel of the cards, and also just the theming of being at the magic. It's interesting. I'm guessing thick-skinned must be a keyword. That's a interesting one. Derivative replication. Create a summon token that's a copy of a summon in play. Except if it was a darker light summon, it's created as the other type. That's an interesting sort of copy spells. But just like the theming of like the sort of magic school, I thought they could get a lot of work. Yeah, I do just really like a lot of this art. Bottomless stash. Search your grimoire for 2 artifacts with painters in the name, or for 2 artifacts called Living Canvas. Reveal the cards, put them into your hand, and shuffle your grimoire. But it did not, as far as I'm aware, no actual. It's an interesting take on a Kobold summon. Final wish, draw a card, which I'm guessing means when it dies, you get to do that. Living Canvas artifact. When Living Canvas is sent to the discard zone from anywhere, create an asterisk over 1 living painting. Summon token with living painting strength is equal to the number of tokens you control. May include up to 5 copies of Living Canvas in your grimoire. It's another just interesting work. But they only released these starter decks in their initial campaign. Huge display of talent. Reaction. Draw a card. You cannot play more reactions this turn. The brush is mightier than the sword. I guess that's interesting just by implication. Painter's Brush artifact. When you create 1 or more tokens, draw a card. You can have 2 artifacts in play as long as the other artifact is Painter's Palette. Painter's Palette. Token summons you control gains double strike and anti-magic. You can have 2 artifacts in play as long as the other is Painter's Brush. So I guess that tells you that normally kind of a reverse rule, that normally you could only have 1 artifact. And then the character the deck is themed around, Arlo, with covered in paint. Once per turn, when a non-token summon you control is destroyed, create a 1/1 Scribbles token. Once per turn during your phase, you may discard an artifact to return another artifact from your discard to your hand. But so, as far as I'm aware, these sort of starter decks were the only products ever made for this game. I was quite disappointed because when I did research seeing how they got on, they seem to have run a second Kickstarter that actually still included these, which I was disappointed because I thought these were, they were marketed as exclusive. And like the way they phrased things really made it seem like they were going to try and do like a more responsible thing than most of the other companies at the time were. As they really made it seem like they were releasing these as a trial to gauge interest and then, using the proceeds from that would then expand the game. But that really seems to not have happened. So the character for this deck is Fae. The sins yearn for their weakness, wield them against your enemy's Fae. Contains a complete deck of 42 spell summon, artifact, alteration, plus wizard cards. You'll notice this one is different. The campaign more or less had 3 core decks and 2 add-on decks that would be produced at a certain amount of funding. The one before was an add-on deck, and this is a core one. This was the only core character that interested me, so this is the only core deck I actually got. Sloth. Spell. Apply stun 1 to target summon. I think we saw this one in the other deck. Pass forward, draw 2 cards. Lust, 1/1. Summon, unyielding. One lust and another summon are linked. Apply charm 2 to that summon. Now, the deck blurb did mention sins. I was not taking it to be that literal, though. Envy. Spell. For each card your opponent has in hand more than you do, apply Frozen 1 to target summon. Pride. Spell. If you have more life cards in hand and control more summons than your opponent, deal 4 damage to their wizard. They discard a card from their grimoire, and they destroy a summon they control. Otherwise, you only choose one. We saw this very different take on a kobold in the other deck. Another one of our sins, Wrath, summon, regen 1. Wrath gains +1 strength for each status condition on each of your opponent's summons. Burn counts as +2. Those who seek retribution shall only find wrath. Those who find wrath can never escape it. Interesting companion there. Gluttony, summon, overflow, discard a card. Gluttony gains +1 strength for as long as it remains in play. You may pay the overflow cost any number of times. Greed. Spell. Draw a card. Overflow 2 life. Draw a card. You may pay the overflow cost. any number of times. Gloves of the Seven, artifact. At the start of the turn, search your grimoire for one of the following cards. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your grimoire. Raven's Cage. Artifact. Once per turn during your phase, you may create a 1/1 Raven summon token with Airborne. And as we learned from the other deck having a card that has an exception written into it, you may only have one artifact per on the field at once. So it looks like, these are sort of cards you build your deck around. Vicious Mockery. I think they directly lifted this from somewhere. I really can't think of where though. Reaction. Target summon in this link does not deal damage until end of turn. That's again, it's really kind of sad that this game didn't take off. I do really like a lot of this art and just the feel of these cards. Counter Magic. Reaction. Disables target reaction in this link. Also, it's a lot of elegance to a lot of the rules as written. They're quite a lot of. Oh, and this one came with 2 different face cards. Fae Wizard. If a summon strikes Fae, flip a coin and apply 1 following to that summon. If heads, paralyze 1. If tails, stun 1. During your phase, you may discard 2 cards from your grimoire to return a reaction from your discard to your hand. And this is just another version of the same card. So the final deck of the ones I got, there were 2 other decks that were part of the campaign, but the characters they featured didn't interest me, so I never picked those up. So at a glance, I'm guessing this is going to be sort of doll-themed deck. Crush their spirits with your inner darkness, sway them with your light, invoke the fear of control into your enemies. This is starting off pretty similar to the first deck we opened, with those fireballs. Paradigm Shift. Spell. Swap all dark and light mana you have, including maximum mana, and the type of mana gained at the start of turn to the other type. And this is another. It's a little disappointing that because I thought like kind of the selling point was that they were all very distinct experiences, but this one seems to overlap quite a bit with the artist deck, except that one revolving more around tokens. Call of the Void. Spell. Darkened. Deal damage to each player's wizard equal to the number of summons they control. Destroy all summons on the field and in the chain. This one seems to have made an appearance in all of the decks, along with the Kobold. Compact Impact Elf. Summon. Pure Compact Little Devil. Impact Elf. Summon. Pure Impact Elf gains +1/+1. Devil. Yeah, of all the failed games I backed during that time period, this is probably the one I really wish had taken off. King of Swords. Summon. Darken King of Swords gains Unyielding. Enlighten. Summons you control gain 2. True Sight. Test Subject X. Summon. Darkened. At the start of the turn, Test Subject X deals damage to itself, then gains until the end of turn. Test Subject X deals damage to it, also applies Frozen 1 and Burn 1. Enlightened. Test Subject X gains Regen 3. Oh, that's an interesting one with some of these dual ability cards. Swaps the printed abilities of summons in this link. Swaps the conditions of summons in this link. Two-Face Coin. Artifact. Darkened. Each time you lose life, draw a card. Enlightened. Each time you gain life, draw a card. Death Amulet. Non-token summons you control gain Final Wish. Darkened. Create a 1/1 Wisp summon token with if Wisp would deal damage and instead apply Burn 1. Enlightened. Gain 1 life and draw 1 card. Tinley. You may use Dark and Light mana as neutral mana. Pure. At the start of the turn, you may look at the top card of your grimoire. You may choose to put that card on the bottom of your grimoire. Darkened. At the start of the turn, you lose 1 life and draw 1 card. Enlightened. At the start of the turn, you gain 1 life. Tinley gains Thick-Skinned. So that is all Academy of Arts, at least all. Well, I don't know why. Well, except they lied, because in their second campaign that they tried to do, they reprinted these anyways. But I was pretty sure they said in the first campaign that these would be exclusive to that, and that any future releases would just be, the actual boxes and stuff. And that these were just supposed to be a test to gather data on the actual interest. But that concludes that. And then with the remaining time, quite a bit of time. Well, one thing, I did get my August package from Vickisigh. These were from the August release. Then I thought we'd look over this uh, Hypnogagia, the art of Jenny Yu. It's a bit surreal to find myself in a place where I can say I've made a body of work. It feels like I'm following a candy trail I'd once put down and re-following those steps. I remember the time and place in my life and all the feelings I had with each step. I can see myself at my most hopeful, most stagnant, and most cynical. Mostly, however, I'm reminded of the magic of creating art. In some ways, making art, for anything for that matter, feels like being a small blobular alien sitting in a box room, tightly clutching their head and focusing on transmitting their signal from the gummy antenna to the outside world. Often you fail to reach, but when that signal finally reaches someone, it is the most wonderful feeling to feel understood. I think that same wonderful feeling emerges when you receive someone else's signal too. Looking at these pieces, I see myself as that tiny alien transmitting my signal in both genuine and awkward ways. In the end, I look back at these pieces fondly despite the rough edges, and I hope it's something others can find momentary entertainment and calm in. Sorry. So this is a fish tank. And wind. I wonder, oh, so that was sunset on the left, and this is bleachers. Gate. And gachapon. Bunnies. And class. Paper cranes. Moss. And haircut. Crane machine. And supermarket. We're moving into digital paintings. This one is carousel. Summer heat. And shoujo summer. The sea. Sunset. Hungry ghosts. And train. Watermelon. And fish kites. Running.
She said I'm not important, I'm gonna cry now.
Memories. Snapshot noise. Bed curtain. Jump and falling. Anxiety. And night. Breeze. of summer. It's our Polaroid studies. Moss 1, 2, and 3. The previous page was night series. Next is get up, morning, sunset, and night. This is Suburbia 4. It's our Kana studies. It's quick rain. Deer rain. Balcony. This is morning 1 and 2. Thank you to anyone with the interest to look through or support my work. It's a lucky place to be in, and I hope to continue growing. Admittedly, I often find myself at a standstill with art and life overall, but such occasions when I'm reminded of the support I have received, it always encourages me to move forward and to support others as well. Thank you to my friends, my loved ones, and to thank you. I'm not sure if we have time today or not to move into what I was planning on. However, sort of like a coda to Monster Hearts. I discovered there were some additional skins, and so that aren't included in the main book. So I thought we could look through those. So this is the Serpentine. This one's a curious one. It was mentioned in the book, but on the website they don't actually have a version for second edition. So this is from first edition, and I'm glad they kept it because there's a couple interesting things, some of which I might use if I ever get to run or play a second edition game, but we'll see. In the ancient games, your family held dominion over this world. They were powerful, deadly, and wise. At least that's what they tell you, but all you've ever seen is empty faith and crumbling dreams. You just want to live your life like any other kid. They have bigger plans for you. They say that there will come a day